Hi everyone, presidential selection day here in Ireland. I hope you went out and did your civic duty today, and let's see how this vote goes tomorrow in Ireland in this presidential selection, inverted commas, race. But today I want to speak about the European Union summit that took place yesterday in Brussels. And of course, Micheal Martin was there in attendance, representing Ireland, the lame duck Taoiseach stroke European Union branch manager, who was there taking orders and nodding like the good lapdog he is for Brussels. Of course, Paschal Donohoe was there in tow as well, talking about the digital euro. But what was interesting with Martin's time there was this was around the decision by the European Union to push through in the 19 sanctions packages for Russia. So maybe this one will work. And of course, Ireland have big relations with these sanctions packages because of the sanctions chief is an Irishman by the name of David O'Sullivan. Ireland really have their claws deep in the European Union. Not for the interest of the people, mind, but of course another sanctions package on Russia, and also it was around the 140 billion which is in the Euroclear system in Belgium of Russian assets that they want to seize. Now, of course, we know that this is just financial theft, but there is always a workaround. But Micheal Martin has said that he supports the European Union initiative to seize the assets from Russia. As we just try and get across the street here. So Martin went ahead and tried to push this narrative and the initiative to seize the Russian assets. He said he fully supports the European Union initiative, and he said this does not have implications for Irish neutrality. Now, the 140 billion is going to Ukraine, the money laundering machine supporting the neo-Nazis in Ukraine, and the Zelensky, Mr. Pandora stroke Panama Papers himself in the laundering machine that is Ukraine over the next 2 years. And the plan is for Ukraine to pay it back to Europe, and only on the conditions that Russia start paying reparations. Now that's lunacy, isn't it? Lunacy. But now we have at the same time that the Irish government will be on the hook for part of this money, because this has come from the Belgian Prime Minister, who said that this is going to create major problems for Belgium and the financial system across Europe, and he said it has to be done across the spectrum, right across Europe, with all the countries contributing. So this has been the brainchild of von der Leyen and the European Commission to try and get at the European Euroclear system, to use this to put it into the money laundering machine to support a US proxy war in Ukraine. And of course, Ukraine aren't even a member of the European Union. So yet again, more money goes into this money making machine and racketeering machine by these lunatics in the European Union, supported fully by Micheal Martin and Paschal Donohoe there in tow. And he also said that Ireland weren't members of NATO or not part of any military alliances. Well, it's interesting because part of the money that's been the intent to transfer across to Ukraine is going to be used for weapons. Well, the biggest part is going to be used for the military industrial complex and weapons. And of course, Ireland as a neutral country have been saying they've been supplying non-lethal aid to Ukraine. More public money been transferred to this proxy war. Absolutely lunacy. Lunacy. This is the same time we have a homeless crisis here, we have health chaos, cost of living disaster, but yet they're following fully behind the same agenda. And he said we're not members of any military alliances. Well, Micheal Martin, we actually are. You are eroding our neutrality and destroying it. We won't mention Shannon being used as an air force base by the United States. We won't mention the Irish Defence Forces being part of NATO's so-called Partnership for Peace, the raiding of the European Peace Facility for weapons to Ukraine, and of course the European Union battle groups that Ireland are fully signed up to. And wait for it, it gets even better, because the ex-head of the Defence Forces in Ireland, Sean Clancy, is now the head of the European Union Military Committee, and that's based, wait for it, in Brussels. And where is NATO based? Brussels. And where is the European Union based? Brussels. At the behest of their masters in Washington, DC. Now, of course, this will have ramifications for our neutrality, and of course, the state's finances, and of course, the public services, but also further from this, the financial system in Europe. Because more countries will be looking at this to think that, is Europe financial institutions safe havens for their wealth? Well, of course it's not. So it'll suit many other countries. The drive towards de-dollarisation, the euroisation will continue. This is the same time that Pascal Donoghue was talking about the exciting news that Bulgaria will be joining the Eurozone on the 1st of January in 2026. Be warned, Bulgaria. Be warned. European Monetary Union, fiscal policy, currency, that's it. No control over your budget, no control over your currency, no control over your monetary policies. But the European Union will pursue their agenda at the behest of the neoliberal hegemony driven by the United States. Now, even better, Kaja Kallas said that European Union member states will still be contributing more of their wealth. Also, apart from the financial system collapsing, of our GDP figures towards Ukraine as well. Of course, Micheal Martin, as long as it takes, will support the territorial integrity of Ukraine. We'll support the sovereignty of Ukraine. But of course, sovereignty is a backward-looking idea here in Ireland, isn't it? Just think about that for a couple of seconds. It's a backward-looking idea in Ireland, but it's okay anywhere else. When it suits their lies. It's beyond propaganda and gaslighting at this stage, just blatant lies. And at the same time, this is what they're pushing down the throats of ordinary people. And today as well, Martin is attending a Zoom meeting with Keir Starmer and Zelensky, who's coming with his begging bowl to Downing Street looking for more money. And of course, Martin has signed us up to this coalition of the willing, the killing. And here we are, tents, people living on the streets in Dublin. That's the reality of what's taking place in Ireland. While Martin has no interest in representing the people of Ireland. Of course, we're having a presidential selection today, where we have two inverted commas candidates selected by both sides of the political establishment, and I hear the Spoil the Vote campaign is doing fantastically well. So let's see how this develops overnight. I'm sure it's going to be a record low turnout and a record amount of spoil votes today as well. So as Irish neutrality has been eroded at the behest of our globalist masters, the finances of Ireland are being eroded, and also we have the drive towards the digital ID, digital currency, and Pascal Donoghue working towards the deregulation of the financial markets and the implosion of the financial system in Europe. So hope everybody enjoys the charade and farce of the presidential contest, inverted commas, and don't look at really what's happening in other news and what's really taking place behind the scenes. Rather than Ireland standing up for peaceful settlements, international disputes, which is part of our constitution. But of course that's thrown to the four winds. We saw it yesterday with the presidential selection nomination process being driven forward by the High Court, and the challenge, which was the High Court Judge Mark Heslin went back on the remarks he made last week in terms of saying that the whip system has no place in the presidential election contest. but our process. So there we have it. That's Ireland, and that's what's taking place while the votes are being spoiled as I speak. So thanks so much for the support, really appreciate it. Please subscribe to my channel, and please share as well far and wide my videos also. So I'm very grateful for your support. And from Dublin today, Slán go fóill. Take care.